Hello and welcome to our humble Highland home at a very busy harvest time. I find at this time of year the gardens can become overwhelming if not managed carefully. We like to pick or forage what we eat from the garden when we need it or when it's ready. And we'll plan our menus around this. However, at the moment there is a bounty of produce that is ready to harvest, to be preserved at its peak freshness and before the caterpillars, the slugs, the mice and the snails clear the rest of it. It also allows me time to thin out some plants and give some space to the larger plants to keep on growing and to hopefully reach full maturity before the first frosts arrive. A lot of our food producing areas have been utilised to their full potential due to the work that we have and continue to do in the kitchen garden and also other areas around the croft gardens. All of our tatties have been grown in pots and various bags this year. I've been doing a wee experiment between 3 different varieties of tatties, which I will explain more about in a future video. I'm picking these salad potatoes to have for tea tonight. They've reached their growing potential and they've become pot round with roots. So they may be small, but I'd rather harvest them now or lose them to pests or diseases. And the dying foliage will be a very welcome addition to the compost as I try to make as much as I can to be returned to the soil, ready for next year. Season by season, year by year, we make changes over the land and we gradually develop areas to try to work with nature's rhythms. Nature really does provide us with a lot of valuable lessons, and I find that this is more beneficial to the environment and it's a lot more in tune with us. From this frame, I'm planning on picking some main crop peas today. But I also have some sweet peas, some green beans, and down at the bottom I've got a couple of rows of celery. All are beneficial to each other and beneficial for us too. Given that we only had one growing frame up this year and it's not in full sun, the peas have given us a couple of crops for meals and this harvest is destined for the freezer. I have left some pea pods to dry on the frame as I will harvest these later and save them for planting next year. I am surprised that these courgette plants survived, given that the slugs had a good feast on them in their early days. I miss these courgettes and they're heading towards becoming marrows. I will preserve these by grating them up, squeezing out the water, and then I freeze them in 1 cup measurements. And I'll be using them in baking and cooking when time allows. The broccoli cowberries really did not like the heat when it arrived, and although they're planted in a place of shade, They only produced very small florets before going to seed. But the bees have absolutely loved the flowers, and I will get some seeds off them later on. But for now, I'll be able to harvest the leaves, and I will take out the centre and dry them and make them into a condensed nutritional powder. And nothing goes to waste. Although the kale has been covered with some EnviroNet, it's clear that some caterpillars have enjoyed a meal or two. They have left some though, so we can agree to share what we have. And this kale will have the stems removed. It will be blanched in boiling water and then cooled quickly in ice water before being frozen. And there still remains plenty for us to eat fresh, and these will be fine in the colder months. The earthworms are a very welcome sight in my soil, and long may they stay to work their magic. I do think the rest of the day is going to be a busy and productive day in the kitchen as I process this wheelbarrow full of goodness. Next along the line, underneath the EnviroNet, we've got some red and white cabbage. The white cabbage I can't pronounce, but the red cabbage is red drumhead. I'm removing the bottom leaves from the cabbages, and these will give me more green leaves to use and to dry to make into powder. I'm also thinning out the plants and removing the smaller ones. This will give space to more robust plants to grow, and it will also preserve water, as the plants don't need as much to grow to maturity. My main crops in the greenhouse are sweet corn and cucumber, and the cucumbers have been giving us a steady harvest at the moment, with signs of lots to come if the heat remains with us for a while yet. I'm going to throw in a few leaves and flowers from nasturtiums. This is nasturtium jewel mix, and this will add a peppery punch to liven up any salad. And a few freshly picked carrots, the variety called Autumn King, will finish off today's harvest. There are still lots of goodies that are not quite ready yet, but if gardening has taught me anything, it has taught me patience. So I will keep making observations and looking after the plants well, and hopefully I will get another bumper harvest before the weather turns. And don't forget, you can eat your pea pods as well as your peas. They would make a lovely pea pod pesto or a pea pod soup. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate your time. But for now, take care of yourselves and others, and I'll see you in the next video.